probably not quite 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not like ancient history,
No,
right?
no.
At the end of her life, I asked her what the greatest invention was in her lifetime.
What'd
And
you
she
say?
said the shower.
Oh!
And I was she grew up on the Lower East Side. Remember they had the bathtub in the
Sure,
kitchen with
sure.
the feet, and they boiled the water and poured the water in.
Yes.
And I'm so struck by, she's only 2 generations before me.
I know.
That was and look what's happened in our lifetime. And I do think with all the inventions in our lifetime, and I'll throw out, which I think the best invention in my lifetime has been the Internet. But I keep thinking we've gone from the shower to the Internet in 2 generations.
Well, you know what? If I was to start with the lifestyle that I've always had for all of my life, I think the greatest invention that was made was the telephone. The to have a cell phone. Because I remember stopping my car and running to telephone booths to put in a dime, to make a call. And then a busy signal, and then you had to get out and wait there or go, there's nothing like the cell phone of today.
Some of those phone booths were funky.
Yes. And, so many times when I leave the house, I guess because I'm in between those age and era, I like these. I forget. I've forgotten my cell phone. I've been 20 blocks away at times and go back and get it. I mean, it's like I can't go through life without I can't go through the day without a cell phone.
I was thinking about that yesterday. That at the beginning, I would forget my phone. I'd lose my phone.
Yeah.
Now I never do. It would be like walking out of my house without my keys.
Yes, or without your eyeglasses, or something that's just as important.
That's become a total necessity.
But you know what? With all of that said, I see what people use cell phones for, and I don't like it. I have found as communicative as it is, and as much as it keeps me in touch with those that I want to, on the moment, get in touch with. I watch you as I walk the streets and I look out the door or wherever I am, everybody's looking down at their cell phone. No one's communicating. And so therefore it gave and it took away.
Well, I was so struck by it after I lost hope in Gus.
Sure.
Because whenever I'm out with someone at dinner, it'd be like,
God.
A quiet dinner at
Yes.
night.
Yes.
Someone's phone rings and they have to look at it because it could be Richard.
Yes.
It could be something about your grandson.
Yes.
Everybody has somebody, a spouse,
Yes.
a child. I have nobody.
I know.
And I was so
I know.
struck by the fact that, I don't have to look at my phone ever for an emergency. And everybody I'm with has to. And, they apologize. They say, oh, I'm sorry, it's Richard, or I'm sorry, it's this one or that. I'm like, of course you have to.
I know.
And, it's, for me, it was like, who's going to call me? My dog?
Yeah.
It was... So that
I of course I sympathize with you, but you never think of those little times how something is always constantly reminding of you. I remember someone had lost a child once, and it was a movie that was done on 13. It was just a strip, and it was just something. He got lost. The kid got lost in the snow, and he thought it was his fault. And fast forward, the child died. And he went into, they were doing the recuperating period, which was supposed to be. Everywhere he'd go, he'd hear these childlike voices. And he couldn't take it. I won't tell you the end of it. It was a very sad ending.
Well, that's the whole other thing. But back to, why the Internet is so amazing to me, I guess it's really Google.
Uh-huh.
That anything you want to know, you can just click with a click of the finger. There it is. Just getting in touch with people, getting information, getting directions.
You know,
another thing that's changed my life, that
right.
completely changed my life, is being able to have GPS on the phone. Because now I can just get in anywhere, anytime, any day or night. Push on my phone. I push a button that says home, and it talks. And this guy talks to me and gets me home.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, as I listen to you, I really think of myself, and I have not moved that far into the 21st century with that. I think that you are, I'm coming along. You know, a lot of people have used the internet and they have completely jumped over there. And I think it's more your style, more your vernacular, and maybe more your age, because you are younger than me. And because of that, I think you've embraced it in a bigger fashion. However, there's certain people who still don't Google that much, who still don't do the GPS that much. And they haven't moved there.
Well, part of what's happened, Jeannie, I mean, you know, there's always the upside and the downside.
Yes.
So part of what's happened is, do you know the expression DIY? You know that expression?
DIY, know what's that mean?
It means do it yourself.
Oh, okay.
So everything, because of the technology,
yes,
and because we live in a world where people don't want to give people jobs,
yes,
they want to do everything on the cheap.
Yes,
everything's become a DIY economy. So the same way that you can press a button and it can tell me how to get home, when I go to the gas station, I have to pump my own gas.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, you know, all of a sudden you have to be your own, you know, you have to do everything yourself.
Everything you do. Even when you go through the tolls now, your Easy Pass gets you through. Nobody's there to take your money.
Right. So everything you need to do yourself. And you also see, the other thing I'm struck by is people who aren't able to do everything themselves, including program their cell phones, you know, get on their computer and Google this, go to the gas station, pump their own gas. All those people, they're sort of left out.
They're very much left out. In fact, you know, the other day I called up to pay a bill. They had called me and I said, you know what, I'll just call on them. And before I could get to a human voice, they said, use the internet, use this, use that, use the other. They were like, get lost. We don't even want to talk to you. And I thought to myself, they have gotten to the point now where there is nothing that you know, like, why call us? Just get out your computer and you www.bop, you know, or do bop bop, and you will get that you can do it, as you say, do it yourself. You don't need us. And that scares me in a way.
I had my washing machine flooded.
Yes.
It was like hysterical. So I called the company. It was a new washing machine.
Yeah.
And the guy said to me, well, would you like me to talk you through what to do, or would you like to go on the internet and watch a video? I mean,
I know you must have said.
My floor is covered with water, and I want to say, no, I'd like you to come over here and fix it.
Yes. Yeah, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. It kind of leaves you out. And you know, I saw a show that was talking about a robot, and they were talking about these robots that are now buildings like IBM or Xerox or MetLife. They can buy them, and they at night you turn it on, and it cleans the hallways.
Jeannie, they're gonna drive your car.
Yes,
and your car's going to be driven. You won't have to drive anymore.
You won't have to drive. You won't have to clean. So there goes. You know, my father sent me through college cleaning offices at night. He used to, you know. I mean, that was the way he made extra money. And I remember him sitting there, you know, with a pail and a mop by him. You know, I have those pictures now that I love. The hard work he did to send me through college. as he worked for the MTA, as he had a civil service job with the transit department, but at night he did that. And now, and I don't want to get into it but that's what, when Obama said today that somebody needs to go to community college, he also needs to say that what they should be majoring in. The 90% of the children or the young people who get out of the schools nowadays are not going to be equipped to get a job, because unless you, the Silicon Valley or the Harlem Valley, wherever it could be, you're not fit. You're not prepared. It's not that you're not fit. That's not the word.
Jobs they're also going to be automated.
What's that?
All the fast food service jobs.
How are they going to automate that?
Yeah, they're starting to automate that. Oh, well, you go in, instead of giving your order to a person, you punch it into a machine, and then it's all computerized.
I just, and what does it do? There is a moment of humanity, that comes across when there's a person, a real live person across the counter. I mean, what are we getting rid of the human touch?
Well, we got rid of bank tellers.
Yes, we did get rid of. Well, we didn't get rid of them altogether.
No, but you used to stand online every time you went to the bank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. With the with the machine.
Now you go to the ATM.
Yeah.
It's the
and I remember when that came about.
Like going to an ATM.
I remember when that came about. My girlfriend said, "I'm not doing that. I'm not getting me any of those cards." She said, "I'm just going to write a check." And she's not here anymore. But I wonder if she would still be, because I don't even think of going to the teller unless it's something really, really has to be done. It's it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad, even though it's great. And I remember I went fighting and kicking to the computer for the email. Oh my God!
Just going back to the bank, I remember that if you had to go to the bank, it was a lunchtime.
Yes.
You had to spend you spend half your lunchtime.
Yes.
Going to the bank.
Yes.
Now it takes a second.
Yeah, you say, hold on, I'm going into the bank. I'll be right back. Because that's usually the words, but. Right. I was getting ready to tell you something I forgot, but I'm concerned. What I was going to tell you is about emailing. I remember when to talk to Ellen, to call her up and say, "Hi, sweetheart, how are you doing? How's it going?" And da 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 da. It was just the only way, and I would get from her, and she would say, "You know what? I'm doing okay today, Gene. I'm fine." But now, and I used to think that's the only way to communicate. But I have learned that the email abbreviates all that feeling, but gets you to the point right away, and it's finished.
But you remember, if you remember back in the day when you called someone at their office.
Yes.
You had to chat up the secretary.
Yes.
Remember that?
Oh, do I ever?
Chat up the secretary before you could even talk to the person.
Right. You go, "Hi, how are you? How's your daughter?
If you didn't do that, the secretary would be. If you didn't, then you'd get.
That's right. That's right. That's 100% right. Yeah, you had to butter. I almost lost a job once. I wanted the Commodores to come to a school, and I was on the phone talking to their agent, and I was saying, "How's everything?" And the supervisor I had at the time, chastised me. She said, you can't talk on the phone. What do you. And I said, "Wait a minute, I gotta ask. This is a conversation." But now I would have done that all through email, and I wouldn't have had to have that private and extra additional touch. But I also see, somebody had said the other day that they had made a study, and that the people's necks they were having medical problems because people's heads are all down all day long. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that, but I mean, there's the
It's
carpal
just
tunnel.
yes,
People are
yes.
typing all the
Well,
time. There are people who are sitting at their desks all the time. You got to get up and walk around.
yes, and tell me something, Ellen. Though, and I really mean, because as much as I do know about this cell phone, and what are the people looking at all day long on that thing? On this.
Well, you know what? It's so interesting because when everyone started being on their devices on the subway,
Yes.
I thought they were reading.
Me too.
Remember, I thought I said, oh, now everyone's reading the subway. You know what everyone's doing? They're playing games.
Is that what it is?
They're all playing games. They're
I was thinking
they're playing. They're all playing games.
And what do you think of that?
Well,
I mean,
I think it's like it's like a drug.
The other day I thought to myself,
I think it's an addiction.
what are they
It's an addiction
looking
like any
at?
other addiction when game playing, and it's like it's like being it's drugging a population because picture it. People are how much TV are people watching? People watch enormous amounts of TV, and then when they're out on the street, they're playing games. So
Wow.
you have a population that's playing games and watching TV.
Well, you know what? I see people almost getting run over by cars. They're on the subway. They miss their stop. Look.
Jeannie, my favorite one. I saw a blind person crossing this crowded street in Midtown on a cell phone.
How could he do that? How could he do that?
Well, with the cane in one hand and the cell phone on the other.
I know, but what was he looking at? How could he see it?
What? Oh,
Well, he was
devices.
faking it out. That's a joke. That's a joke, I'm sure. That's a joke. But you know what? I think, and I'm going to put this to you, I think that Oprah said something once that I've never, ever forgotten. And she said, if you were on your dying bed and you knew your days were truly numbered, what would you like to have done that you have not done?
Oh, this is a bucket list, right?
Yes. What would you like to have done? And she said, and think of that, and then go do it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of anything you'd like to do?
Oh boy, that's. I don't really have a bucket list. I might have had one before I lost my family, Jeannie.
Yeah.
But having lost my family, I really don't have one. Do you have one?
Well, I think, which and I don't want to sound fatalistic, but I would like to have written a book.
Well, that's not fatalistic. What's fatalistic about that?
Well, because I don't know if I'm ever going to do it. I just would like to write. I had such great stories.
What would your book be about?
What's that?
What would your book be about?
The book would be about me. And it would be about me and me.
It's time to write it.
Me and my life. Me and my life. The life I've lived. And I just think I've lived an ordinary life that so many people have lived, but what I've made of it has been unique. I don't think I'm anything special. Not that I don't think I'm special. I do think I'm special, but I just believe that there's so many me's, but they haven't been written about. And the other day when somebody was talking about Selma and the blackness of everything, I remember once years ago I was with Jill Iskell, and I went to visit her father, and he was in this really fancy office, or he was his business, and his name was Weinstein. I remember that. And he said to me after I got ready to go, he said, if you weren't black, you would be rich. And I thought to myself, why would he say that? And so many. Was that something to say?
Interesting.
Just said it right out. And I think
but
now.
What I would say, Jeannie, I think of you as being very rich. Not necessarily in terms of money,
Yes.
but you've had an incredibly rich life.
Yes, I have.
And
I
continue
have.
to do so.
And maybe that's what I'd like to write down. Because when, I don't go, I have a place in Florida and I very rarely go. And so many people say to me, why don't you come down here? Why don't you do? And I said, I can't tell you what a great time I'm having in New York. I said, I can't leave the town. I said, every day is just so wonderful.
Adventure.
Yes. And I love living here in New York. I love
Me
living here.
too.
Do you?
Me too. Yeah, it's like, I always think about if you have to end up somewhere on the planet, this is a good place to end up.
I never thought of it that way, but you're right. This is
There's a lot of worse places to end up.
Yeah. And you know what? And believe it or not, people like you and I can go different places. And you said, thank God I don't live here,
Also, my dad always said, when in doubt, go out. When you go out in New York, it's an adventure.
It is. It is.
Right.
I remember once this fellow I was dating came in from Detroit, and I thought that was such a. And we had gone to school at Howard University, and by the time in D.C. a day had gone by, and we got off the subway and we roamed around. He said, "This is crazy out here." He said. He said everybody's moving and nobody's looking, and I had just to take. We take it so much for granted, the joy of it, the ups and downs of it. But one thing I think with you have lived something that nobody else has lived, and you could write a book about that. How do you live such a big life and so responsible and so involved, and that you're all connected, and then one day you wake up and all the strings have been taken away and there you sit alone? I mean, that's a tremendous story, and only you could tell it, because you got to walk through it, and the story is not ended. There is going to be a rainbow that is at the end of all of this for you, and it hasn't shown its face yet, but I think that's a great book. That's a great book.
So, Jeannie, Saturday night, I was driving out on Long Island toward the city. So when you drive west, you drive right into the sun.
Yes.
And the sun was covered with clouds. And there were clouds coming out to the left and clouds coming out to the right. And about 30 feet in either direction from the sun, there were rainbows.
Oh, my God.
In the sky. I've never seen anything like it. It was so beautiful.
That was Gus and Hope.
Oh.
That was Gus and Hope.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah, you deserve it. And you're going to get it. You're going to get it. It's not over. You're here. Life is for the living. And
life is for the living.
Yes, and life is for the living. And one day you're going to say, girl, guess what's happening to me? By the way, everybody, I know she's getting ready to get off, but she's getting ready to, aren't you going to be writing or aren't you doing a play of some sort?
Well, I produced a short film.
Yeah.
I produced it, and I'm eager to show it to you, Jeannie. So next time I see you, I'm going to show you the film.
Oh, I want to see it.
Yeah. I'm keeping busy.
You're too much. That's so fabulous. I can't wait. Well, I hope, I said everybody was calling me and coming on, and I have you here, and I could have sworn I was going to have Charlie Rangel, and I hope he don't let me down, because I had the whole half hour.
Well, he'll come on. He'll just be a little late. He'll come on.
Wait a minute. I heard that before. Hey, you and I know about that. Well, listen, one thing, I love this conversation, and what I do want, Ellen, more than anything, is for you to return. And please come back. Please come back.
You got it.
Okay?
In the meantime, have a fabulous day, everybody out there.
All right.
Have a good day.
And you too. And keep looking up to those rainbows.
Thank you, Jeannie. Take
All right.
care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
She is so fabulous. And, it's truly funny. I remember when I just was trying my best to get everything. Hold on a second. Let me see here. Wait a minute. Hello?
Hello, Jean. Guess who's on the line?
Who is this?
This is Hannah with Mr. Ringel.
Oh, gosh. My hero, where is he?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, this is the Honorable Charlie Rangel. Hi, Charlie Rangel.
Good morning. How are you, my dear? Good to talk with you.
I saw you yesterday on television, and I heard Chris Matthew call you his hero. He said, "Hi there, buddy. You're my hero."
Well,
and you know what I want to say to you, and I'm saying it before he starts. This is the Honorable Charlie Rangel. Charlie Rangel is so in touch with us here at Harlem. It was such my chest, you could have seen it swell up yesterday when your office called and said you would come on. I was just so tickled. I was so tickled, Charlie. And you know what I must say, and I'm not just stroking your back, but you always have, you're so articulate. You're such a tremendous and wonderful representative when you talk and when you say what is and what your thoughts are about and give your opinion. So, you represent Harlem in the finest way. So good morning to you, Charlie. I saw Mr. Angle or whatever I should call you. I saw the speech last night and I said, oh, I can't wait to find out what my representative Charlie Rangel thinks. What did you think of it?
I thought the president was so exciting. It's what America dreams and hopes that we can become. It was inspirational. He pointed out the fact that we can and should be working together, and the fact that he has these last 2 years, he set a high target for America to reach, and we can do it. We are recovering. It's just that the middle class has been left behind. And you don't have to be a political scientist to know that unless you have an education and training, unless you can be competitive for the job opportunities, you're not going to make it. If you don't, you're out of the middle class and you're on the road to hopelessness. And so it didn't seem to me to be a democratic speech. The things that the president laid out are things that the Congress has to be doing. There's no excuse now. They cannot dismantle the good work that he has done. They haven't got the two-thirds majority that they would need. And the House and the Senate has to take a look. If they don't like what the president's done with immigration, come up with a bill. They know the inequities that exist in our tax system. Do something about it. We're falling behind in our infrastructure. As a great nation, we can and should be doing better. Let's do something about it so that there's not one thing that the president said that the Republican Party can't say that this has to be done. The question is, when are we going to do it?
Well, that's what bothered me most about it, because when all is said and done, and I was very moved by all the things that he said, many of the things he said, but I just wondered, was his speech effective to those? I mean, it was effective to the public, because who would not want the middle class to stand tall and stand high and be strong? And yet and still, they practically didn't stand or applaud for anything. The other side.
Well, for 6 years, they've never listened to anything. They were so committed to fighting and stopping and embarrassing the president that it's going to be difficult for them to adjust and realize that it's easier to tear down a barn than it is to build one. And so now they have the responsibility not just to be negative, but to come up with something which the nation is waiting for. And you have to realize this, that comes 2016, they will have to have something to say. Either they accomplished or they tried to accomplish. Insulting the president and fighting each and every initiative is not going to allow them to find a candidate or a program that would allow them to survive in the next 2 years. And so when the president said he has no more elections to run, it means that they got to find a candidate, they got to find the issues, and there's no excuse now because they control politically both houses. And They can't dismantle the president's programs because once the president vetoes, they don't have the 2/3. So I'm very optimistic. It is true that unemployment is down, oil prices are down, stock market's up, but the middle class have really not received the benefits of that, and they can only do that if we're prepared to meet the challenges of the future.
Well, you know, when he said, you know, I don't have to run a race again. I mean, I don't want to belabor that point, the division that they made, but I got so mad at them. I mean, there seems to be no graciousness at all, and I just liked his retort. You know,
he really, even more than the retort, was the smile that reminded them that he was in charge. Whether they liked it or not, the people have voted for him. I wish we had this recovery much earlier, because I can understand whether it's Democrats or Republicans. The Congress has done absolutely nothing.
No.
Every initiative that the president had, the Republican House of Representatives has knocked it down. And so the frustration of seeing a Congress that has an unwillingness to work certainly caused a lot of Democrats to run away from the party. But this time, the last 2 years, where we have the opportunity to put our kids in college so that they'll be able to get by with technology and science and math, which, as the president said, 2 out of 3 jobs of the future. You got to have some advanced educational training. And if we don't do this, you don't stand still.
No.
The other nations are training their kids, and they don't have to pay and get loans in order to get an education. We get it back in competition. We get it back in revenue and taxes. It just makes sense to have an intelligent, well-trained workforce.
Well, you know, I've never heard anybody really come up and say, do you know that you're the only country that's not doing this? You're the only country that doesn't take care of child care. You're the only country that doesn't have a free education for all. You're the only country. They hail us, and I believed them until just recently I found out we're the only ones that don't do a lot of things.
Well, I tell you one thing, if you take all of the countries in the world, and the number of people they have locked up in jails like animals, we exceed in that. And the president knows that. It's certainly better to train people, have them to be productive, than to encage them and spend $1 million on each one of them and get nothing but a well-trained criminal when he gets discharged. So all of those things, there's so much room for us to improve. And now is the time to do it, and the country and the world are waiting for it.
Well, you know, I thought of you last night, especially when he gave the Congress the right to about the war, to vote in on the war, and I thought to myself, if they start sending people back out there to fight another war, I thought of you. You know why? Because you were so much into the draft.
Well, listen carefully. That part of his speech is not over.
Oh, my God.
The president said that we've had 2 wars in the
Yes.
last 15 years. Now, I haven't missed a day since I've been in Congress, and I don't recall the Congress and the president declaring war on anybody.
Yes.
And now he is saying that he wants to bring an authorization to support what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, he allowed us to believe that he thought he already had the authorization. So as soon as he starts asking us for that, not only do I think that we should have a draft where everybody makes a commitment, but we should pay for the war and have a tax for the war. This is the first time that I recall that the president has called right out a war. And I don't ever recall President Bush saying that we're going to war. And who are we going to war with? I don't know of any country called a terrorist. I don't know who will be negotiating for a treaty. The whole thing is insane. The Muslims and people in that part of the world have had religious disputes for over 2,000 years. What makes America, with 400 years of history and prejudice in our own land, believe that we can resolve that by missiles and drones? I don't know.
I know. And you know what happens to me, and because of you, of not only because of you, but you certainly brought it to the attention of the American people, and that is that we've fought and we've done all these things, and they've volunteered their times, and we have veterans now walking around with one leg, one arm, one eye, half a head, and we're saying send some more, go get some more.
And where do they come from? These are not graduates of Princeton or Harvard. These are kids that come either from urban communities or rural communities that lack the skills, that are looking for work. Everybody, every kid I know, including myself, who volunteered for the military, was looking for training and looking for a paycheck. And so you don't find many members of Congress having their kids volunteer for the service for patriotic reasons. And so if you really want to make a commitment, you have to prove to the American people and the Congress, at least you should, that there's a threat to our national security. Who would not want to defend this great country if a threat was proven? But, we got involved in this so-called war against terrorism. It's the first time in history that we're fighting phantoms. There's no one there to surrender. We don't even know who they are, what country they're from.
And like you said, which I'm piggybacking on you, they've been doing this for years. They've been having this problem for years. I mean, for us to think we can go over there and solve their problem when we have so many problems here in the United States of America. I mean, I just got through looking at Selma, and believe it or not, we need to get ourselves together here. I just this draft thing. I really hope that Mr. Rangel, while you're there, Congressman Rangel, that you will please just keep throwing that in their face. They're never going to do it, but the draft. I just think that
they got to come back, because the president opened the door wide and saying that he hopes that we authorize him to continue this military excursion. And so when he comes, he has to share with us. If he wasn't authorized, what are we doing there in the first place?
Well, they laugh at him, and as he said last night, that we are still more than just a collection of red states and the blue states, but we're the United States of America. Do you think? I mean, I know this sounds kind of pie in the sky. What's going to happen with us? Because believe it or not, and I guess you do believe me, I do. I listen to them intently because of the radio and because I need to stay abreast. But people have tuned out the Congress. They have tuned out all the people. They just said, they don't get along. I can't take it anymore. What's going to happen?
Listen, that recession that we've had, while the very wealthy have recovered and probably exceeded the wealth levels they used to have, those people lost their homes, lost their job, lost their hope. They haven't recovered.
Yeah.
And there's no one that can say that they have. When a kid is dropped out of college because the parents couldn't pay the tuition, they don't pick up their lives just because unemployment is down. And no matter what they say about the nation, if they're talking about the minorities, the unemployment is still double. The dreams are still shattered. The education is still far behind. The jail we have decreased, but we haven't increased in the wealth and education. And so we have a long way to go. The president was talking about the American dream, but there's some communities that haven't had the opportunity to meet anyone that has enjoyed that dream, to share that dream, and to give them the inspiration. Being able to say, if you can really get into college, if you can really get an education, you can get a job, get a family, get a home, get retirement, send your kids to school. If it wasn't for the GI Bill, I'd still be on Lenox Avenue if I was alive.
Sure.
And everybody in my community that has been successful has been the recipient of the GI Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the people that you know that after World War II, after the Korean War, after the Vietnam War, the cost of going to college has just been out of reach.
Changed their lives.
Working family.
Changed their
And
lives.
So it changed their life, and it changes their family life, their community life, and therefore the country. The reason we're so far advanced is because we had a highly literate working force.
Yes.
And now other nations have caught up and they're moving forward. And in this world, if you're not moving forward, you're really falling behind. And we can't afford that.
Well, I one of the things that really ticks me, and really, and I say it to you because you're there when they're voting. I mean, the Congress and the people in your status were very, very easy to up their wages and do what they had to do. And when we talk about a minimum wage, I hear these people talking like, what do you mean give them more money? What do you mean give them more than, $7 an hour, $8? They've got enough. Maybe $9, but I'm not giving them $10 an hour. What has happened here?
Well, the whole idea of the cost of living dramatically increasing,
Yes.
and the disparity between those people that have really 95% of the wealth that this nation has gained goes to the top 1%. And so food stamps and hope that keeps families together.
Sure.
But that is not a productive way to do it. Women and other people should be getting a decent salary. And, even if you don't believe that you have a moral commitment, what happens with the money that working poor people have? They spend it. Where do they spend it? In the local stores. Where are most of the jobs? With small businesses. And so if you have people that are buying and not borrowing, if you have people that are buying food and clothing, keeping up their health care, hoping to get a house, what you're doing is stimulating the economy.
Sure.
The wealth allows money to create interest. It doesn't create jobs unless they do just that. And so they have the wealth, but we haven't expanded in economic growth. And we can and should be doing that. We really got out of the recession, that is the country as a whole. But those people, and it's true, that once you slip off of the middle class roads, once you don't have that rent, once you miss that mortgage, once the kids drop out of school, once you can't pay your debts, once when bankruptcy's behind you but hope is not there in front of you, you don't get back. And this is especially true when you're 50 and 60 years old.
Sure.
And so some people we just won't be able to make whole again. But at least we can do is invest in their children and their grandchildren to take advantage of the opportunities that this country's going to have. If we're going to create jobs as a result of the trade agreements the presidents talk about, for God's sake, let our young people be prepared and trained to take those jobs.
Well, whenever I saw him, of course, last night, I thought of who will be there in 16, and I thought, Romney is back on the scene again, and I heard someone say it. A very, very intelligent person said, I think Romney has a good chance of winning this time, and I put to myself, what's going on here? You try and you try and you try again. And, do you just beat us down? What do you think about the election in the year 2016?
Well, in the last Republican primary, when I saw how the Tea Party had qualified candidates jumping up like puppets, reciting the speeches of the Tea Party against health care, against housing, against jobs, I felt pretty good that President Obama would win as a Democrat.
Me too.
But I felt embarrassed as an American, as a patriot, for people all over the world to see that we would have someone like Romney saying that the poor can take care of themselves, or that 47% of the people don't participate and shouldn't be taken care of. And so we finally now have a rerun in terms of the people who are announcing. And even if they did find a candidate, they can't run against Obama. What will they be running for? And so I am encouraged that Wall Street will not be able to tolerate the indifference that Republicans have had to Obama. They got to answer for a Republican Congress. They got to come up with something. we're losing trillions of dollars in revenue because of loops in the tax code. And certainly when it comes to trade, you can't have broken down airports, seaports, and roads and expect to be able to transport goods from one part of the world to the other. You can't have kids dropping out of jail and dropping out of school and going into jail. They have to be able to compete. Mm-hmm. And so all of these things, you just can't sit on your hand and say, God's got to take care of you. They have to come up with something in these 2 years, which means what? They're going to have to work with this president or show that it's not only a do-nothing Congress, but that the Republican Party is there to complain, but not to compete.
Well, you know, I agree with you so, and I want to say this to you, and I want your honest opinion, but, you know, I have always felt that the reason Obama has been treated the way he is because he's a man of color. And I just, it breaks my heart so many times, the Honorable Charlie Rangel. I mean, it really breaks my heart to see how they treat him. And last night, when they tried so in their own little sneaky way to put him down again, I went to say to myself, when is this? And I've almost gotten to the point. I said, let the other side, let a people of another color take this position, the position of president, because I'm so sick of seeing how much they hate you because you are a man of color. And
you have to look at it this way. It has to make us stronger. It has to let our kids know that no matter how eloquent that you are, no matter how efficient you are, that you are expected to overcome the prejudice that children are not born this way. Uh-huh. I mean, when a kid is born black or white, no matter what language they speak, what culture they have, they exude nothing but love and affection. And it takes adults to really instill this poison in them. And it just seems to me that we should have more clergy bringing this up, because unless we deal with the problem of racism and prejudice, it just grows like an infested sore. Do you think for 1 minute that if the mayor of the city of New York did not have a black son, that the police would be so upset because he trained them to make certain that he doesn't cause himself to get into deeper trouble?
No.
On the fact that the president is black, there's a lot of disrespect. It's not been just something that's been subjective. When I was chairing the committee and we were fighting to get the president's health bill out, the same type of signs I saw when I marched with Dr. King from Selma to Montgomery, they were out here calling us the same names, calling the president the same names.
Back right here, 2012, yeah.
Hitler mustache. And so the prejudice is there. But unless we talk about it and try to do something about it, then it'll still continue. But everyone knows that the color issue remains in the United States, and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution only gave us the opportunity to treat each other with equality.
Well, you know, I know you represent us, and I'd like for you to just say something to us, anything that will give us some hope, because, you know, one of the things that I'm about to embark on my next segment on the show this morning is Selma and the need to vote. And I remember when the last time you were on, you were running for your office, and all we could say to all the people out there is, please vote. Please vote. And I just would like you to sort of piggyback on that and take us to the end.
God has blessed us. Those have been born in the United States of America, where we have more opportunity than any country that has been created in the world. There's no one fighting to leave the United States to go anywhere. Indeed, the increase in immigration shows that people believe that in America that you can really make it. The problem is that we can't give up. We can't give up. That we've invested in this country for generations, from slavery through every battle. We've been there. This is not the time to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is the time to say that the country has the capacity to treat everyone with equality. The Constitution wasn't thinking about us, but the words included us. And have come a long way, not only in the last 400 years, but even since the civil rights movement, the right to vote. I came to Congress, there was only a half a dozen members, black members of Congress. Now we got 46. We're moving on. We haven't reached the promised land, but we're moving in that direction. Those people give up and give out are not going to make it. We've got to have the heart. God has given us the ability. We got to use it. We got to win, and we will win. And we're blessed to have a president who's not giving up, who's not giving in and not giving out. We got 2 great years before us, and we ought to register because that's the ticket that you need in order to have political success.
Thank you so much, Charlie Rangel. I'm speaking to here. You were fabulous, and thank you for sharing everything with us this morning. You're very special. And
well, you always give me an opportunity, and I'm eternally grateful. And also to the tens of thousands of people that supported me and my wife Alma over the years. I thank them for giving me an opportunity to serve a country where a dropout from Lenox Avenue can reach the point that he's a senior member of the House of Representatives. It's a great honor. But without people like you and the support I've received, I could not even dream about it, much less attaining that goal.
Well, we applaud you. You're doing a fine job, and just keep up the good work that you do. And
I look forward to seeing and hearing from you again, and thanks for all you do. Unless people can hear from us, unless people keep track of what we're doing, the quality of public service would fall. You keep us on our toes, and I thank you for it.
And I'll be looking forward to talking to you again.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Charlie Rangel. Bye-bye. Oh, he's just, I don't want to sound gummy, yummy, but I thought that was good. I thought that we got to what we were really about. What happened, because that speech last night was important to me. Hello?
Hi there.
Is this John Wareham?
Hi there, Jeannie. How are you? Yes, it is.
John, I just got off with Charlie Rangel, and he's just been a delight because he's taken us through the president's speech. And I want you all to know, I'm talking to John Wareham. To have a resume on him, I'd be here for 100 years. But to condense it, he's everything. He's an advocate for us. He's an advocate for people. He's an advocate for the soul. And he's such a creative and magnificent man whom I just admire. I cannot tell you how much I admire. And every year, on Martin Luther King's Day, he allows all of us, or just a group of us, to go to the movie together. And he pays for our tickets, and we go to the movie, and we see the movie, and then we go back to his home or wherever, and we discuss the movie. And when we discuss the movie, John, of course, leads us on, and he's a wonderful, what would you call you?
Moderator.
Moderator. He's
and provocateur.
Yes. Would he say that again?
A provocateur, a person who would provoke an argument. Yeah, sure.
Oh, you're so fabulous. I love that word.
On either side, I like to get people. Well, we like to make people think about the whole thing and make sure that we get both sides of the debate out there.
Yes, and he winds up always telling me to shut up. He says, "Shut up, let's go."
Well, you do have a point of view, and after a little while, we've heard it. But having said that, I know your remarks are to the point. Everything you said was great. I thought everything you said was great.
Yes, but anyway, I wanted to hear what you have to say about what was said about Selma.
Well, I think the thing is this: that we've been organizing those Martin Luther King Day events now for 20 years. This was probably the best of them because this was the film really about his life and about that instant there. And so we had an audience there, a very eclectic group of people, artists and writers. We had a reporter. We had a Black Power leader there who was actually arrested on the day that Martin Luther King was shot. And he didn't get out of jail till 40 years later.
Uh-huh.
And so he was there, and his granddaughter was there also, and so they were. He presented one point of view, and I thought that she presented a completely different thing, because she's in her 20s and he's in his 60s.
Uh-huh.
And then we would say that half of the group was white, as you know, and half of the group was black.
Yes.
So, and I think there were 27 people in the room, and I guess half and half. Yeah, because anyway. So what people had to say was interesting. What interested me, and what was observed by a client of mine actually, who flew all the way up from Louisville to be there because he heard about these evenings, and so he wanted to be there. He said it was interesting to him that he said the blacks did more talking than the whites.
Mm-hmm.
And the whites were very happy to listen because, and I think the reason that the African Americans did more talking was because they had more suffering to express and to get out of their system, and this was a chance, I think.
Oh, by all means. As someone like me who has lived through it and was practically there while it was happening, I couldn't have stopped talking, because what happened is, I really mean it.
Well, you weren't the only one. No, I'm saying it was an outpouring there, right?
Yeah, it was an outpouring, and what I liked hearing what other people said, but every time someone would say something, I, as a person who have really been a part of this whole issue of racial prejudice, I had something to say, because that's what Selma was about. To me, it was about, look what's happening now, look what happened then, and look what's happening now.
Right.
It's almost the same.
There's a lot of similarities between what's happening now and what happened then, but probably the biggest difference is that these two awful crimes that we saw by the police, and I think they were crimes, that there was an instant reaction from everybody that saw that, and we didn't have to wait for 50 years for the people who saw what happened here in New York with the chokehold to complain. But people were out on the streets like instantly, and so Ashiki there, who's an African American and as you know has a degree from Yale in law, she said that she was inspired by what happened, by the quick reaction that everybody had to this cruelty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can see it either way, I think. I mean, for me,
she said she was inspired by Selma.
I'm sorry?
What did you say? She said she was inspired?
She was inspired by the reactions that we saw to the death of Ghana here, that as soon as people saw what the police had done to that man, they were out on the streets and complaining instantly. We didn't have to wait for 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So she saw that as a sign of significant progress, I think.
Right. Uh-huh.
And whereas it was still the same event in a way, but with the reaction of everybody today, I mean, the horror that was expressed was, that's what she was saying.
Sure.
That you know, we didn't have to wait. I mean, for me, I must say that the racism we have seen heightened from the day that Obama came into office has been very, very depressing.
Sure.
That I mean, we expected that it would go away, but there are all sorts of people in the South, and I guess here too, who just do not like the idea of a black man being the president, and so the racism has just been out there the whole way through, and I have found that very, very depressing, actually.
Yes.
But
and so have I, and because
but
I
he
thought
did win the election, and he did do it twice, as he explained to those Republicans there last evening, right?
Yes, he did.
I mean, he didn't even say. He could have finished the sentence. He said, and I won twice.
Yes.
And could have added the words, and I won twice by a wide margin.
Right. He just gave them a smile and they shut up.
Yeah, well,
but but they're only for the moment, only for the minute, only for the second. But I think what you did, which was so wonderful, the gathering that you had on Martin Luther King's Day, after we had seen the film Selma, was that you did have this diverse group of people, age-wise as well as racial-wise, meet together, and I was surprised at a few, not surprised, but it was an eye opener for or ear popper when some people were saying, "What about Malcolm X?" and for some odd reason wanted to throw him in the mix of all of this, because there still is this militant group who, by the way, have always been, by being subsided, have always been sort of American. But you saw that there, even within the movie itself, Selma, there was a point where someone did say, why don't we go get guns? Why don't we just kill them? I thought that.
Right. But at that point in his life, I mean, this was a shame. At that point, you have to remember that Malcolm actually died a week afterwards, right?
Yes.
After he gave that speech, he died within the week.
Wow.
And so what he said was, my eyes are open. I'm not the same person I was, but let me give the speech so that they get scared of me,
Yes.
And that we will act like a pair of scissors. And so I think a very strong argument can be made that Martin Luther King, who had the bigger idea, but still he wouldn't have been as effective if it hadn't been for Malcolm X, who was, let's be honest, a brilliant individual. And as I say to people, there wouldn't be a lot of heroes left in the last 50 years if you lift out the 4 M's, being Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and the 4th M I would say is Obama. You lift these individuals out. What have you got left?
Nothing.
Right? Not much.
Not
right?
much. Not much.
Lift these people. And then there's Malcolm X, who dies at about I think he was only 35, and Martin Luther King dies at 39. These were amazing individuals. Amazing individuals, right?
Sure. And, I never thought of the M's. That's so funny. That's really great. I'm not, But, it's one of the things that I have maintained, and I'm sure you're much more aware of it than I am, but if it's not for the blacks and their contributions, America really wouldn't be America.
No, it would not.
It would not. I mean, that's what makes us so colorful. My girlfriend was just on the air earlier than you this morning, and she was saying, we were talking about living in New York and how much fun it is, and the diversity, and the fact that you can walk by one place and hear some kind of music, and the next time you walk in somewhere and you hear someone speaking another language, and you walk another 4 steps and you see someone with a turban on their head. I mean, it just is here. It's so multicultural. But it makes these different factors in life, people who do that, make New York City so wonderful.
Right, and for all the people that say that we have a racial problem, really what is surprising is how well everybody gets along, right?
Oh, yes. Oh,
I mean,
yes.
Honestly,
Yes.
everybody gets along surprisingly well. You compare this to just about anywhere else in the world, right?
Right.
Right?
And you could forget it. You could forget it. I just don't think, like, say, for instance, I once, and I tell this story and they think I'm just making a joke up, but I was in Florida once and I stopped at this stoplight and there was these kids that I've called them young with signs up about Iraq, and the car ahead of me, there was white kids holding the signs, and these white guys in front of me got out of their car and hit them, beat them up. and got back in the car.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, that could never happen in New York. That could never happen in New York.
You wouldn't think so. I was actually, I had just had a big birthday, but I've never looked my age, of course. And I say that,
by the way, he's very handsome.
Well, thank you. I was on the subway in New York, and I just got on the subway, and I'm standing at the door. The door's closed, and I leaned against the door, and I looked across, and there's a young African American guy sitting down, and he had the cap on sideways, and he had the boxer shorts, and he had his open neck shirt with his gold chain and the sneakers and everything. And I was looking at him, thinking to myself, well, you know, you look like a work of art or something. I was just looking at it and absently-mindedly thinking. When he saw me looking at him, he got up from where he was. He walked straight across to me. He pointed his finger at my chest. He looked me straight in the eye. He said, "Would you like to sit down, sir?"
Wow.
Well, of course, I said thank you, but it was like I thought, well, isn't that interesting?
He could read your mind. He could read your look.
You could either look at that young African American guy, and you could fear for your life, but in his heart, he only wanted to offer a seat, right?
Isn't that lovely? What a nice thing. What a nice happening. Well, and you know, that really is so true. So many times they look, I know, I think it was Jesse Jackson once made a statement about racial, and he said, you know, well, if you were on a dark street and you saw one of us, wouldn't you be afraid? And, you know, he was talking about the way we dress, black young men, could be very frightening for even black people, you know.
Yeah.
You know, which of course, you know.
Actually, I mean, for me, since I've been teaching in the prisons now for 20 years, what I've learned really, I mean, I may be wrong about this, but I'm not really scared of any young African American on the street, any African American at all, even in the evenings, because I've seen these guys, and I've spoken with them. I've shared time with them over years, and they're all very, very sweet and extremely nice. And so the more of a front that they show, I think it's just a front. And I've learned that if I smile and say hello, they're very anxious to smile.
Yes.
And,
well, you know what? I think, to be so honest, when I see a movie like Selma, and I see all the terrible things that have been done to us as a black race, I think that we're basically very nice people. Because if we weren't, it would be such a different outcome. Because who could take? I mean, when I see it, and you know, I don't like it. And I mean, I don't think anybody who sees Selma is going to like it who's black. But I'm just saying that I get very angry, and I think to myself, look what I have to take. Look what I have to endure. You don't have to endure that. When I saw Obama last night standing up in front of them, and they turning their backs on him, look like, oh, you. I'm like, who are you? Look what we have to take from.
Here's the other thing. You think if any other president in our history had stood before Congress and said to them, "This was my last election. I will not be running again," would people have cheered?
Yes.
That was total insolence.
So insolent.
It's like
a dog.
If you want to say that we're not racist, and you cheer a man who is objectively one of the greatest presidents we've seen, and you sneer at him openly in front of your friends because you believe you can get away with it.
Yes.
And you tell me that these people are not racist. I've never seen anything like it.
And you know, John, I'm so glad I'm talking to you this morning, because this is something that you hold in your heart, and you hold it. It's so hard to let it go. because you know if they treat him like that, you know what they're thinking about somebody like little old me. I mean, and it breaks your heart because it breaks your belief in the love of all. I mean, I'm gonna take this aside. John is a very, very dear friend of my family's. In fact, him and his wife, and I know he didn't want to go this way with it, but I'm gonna say he offered his beautiful, beautiful home up in, I think it's Carmel, New York.
It is, yes.
And for my son to be married. My son got married on the lake outside of his house. I mean, it was just so beautiful. And all of my friends came from far and wide. And it was one of the most beautiful weddings I've ever seen. And here he met my son at a restaurant. I mean, and they became friends, him and his wife, Margaret, who I just adore his wife. I mean, I absolutely adore her. And we've been friends ever since. And it gives you thought, and it gives you hope, and it gives you some kind of courage to say, keep the fight and hold the hand and reach out and don't give up. Because when you see what happened last night, if you didn't know a John Wareham and a Margaret Wareham and how they are as people, you would want to say, you know what? Screw you, white folk. Screw you. And it's so sad because a lot of us haven't had the experiences and the opportunities that I've had with you. And a lot of you have a lot of people out there didn't get, not because they didn't want to, just by chance and the life they lived, they haven't met a John Wareham and a Margaret Wareham. But you know what I mean?
Well, we were fortunate. We grew up in New Zealand, and everybody's equal there. It's. I mean,
it may be equal there because there's not a lot of us there.
Yeah, and so for me, it's a sort of a norm. I mean, for us, everyone there, it's
not that normal
to treat everyone.
Everybody, every country, and every city, and every state in the world puts blacks on the bottom of the barrel. And I mean, I am not being negative when I say that, but that's the deal. If you go to India, the darker Indian has a hard time. You go to the Arab country, the darker Arab has a hard time. Everywhere you go, dark people have a hard time. People of color.
That's actually true, and in my experience, I just want to say this because it sounds actually racist anyway, but I'm going to say it anyway, was that when I went out to Rikers Island, and I've been teaching the prisons, as you know now, for 20 years, but it's like I have seen with my own eyes that the guys in jail who are serving the most time are generally blacker than the people who are not. You can almost actually grade the guys in prison according to the degree of the color of their skin, but there's no difference in their intellect. There's no difference in their emotional makeup. They're exactly the same people. So it just
and see here you as a white man see that. Can you imagine what's happening with us, our own black people, with own black people among each other? Oprah had this yesterday or the day before light girls and dark girls. And it goes to show you how light-skinned people, we ourselves, handle each other in different manners. Light-skinned girls, they said, are more attractive to men. Light-skinned girls got them a better job. Light-skinned girls were allocated in slavery to the house. They were the house, called them the house ends.
I know what they called them.
Yes, and then the darkest skinned people were allocated to the fields. And
we're still doing that.
Yes. Unconsciously and a little consciously.
Yeah, no, I think as well.
But I mean, right now, John Wareham, I'm talking to, by the way, everybody out there. John, if you, I used to pick up a Jet magazine, which is, I'm sure you know what that is. We have a Jet Ebony and Essence and all.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I would open up the magazine, and there would be a Tiger Woods, say for instance, with a white girl. Then open it up again, and there would be, somebody with a light skinned girl, and after a while, you never got to see any of our brothers. And then when they get ready to get on the pulpit and talk, they go, "Black is beautiful."
Yeah.
Now,
well, Tiger Woods, I don't think he's ever been out with a black girl in his life.
oh, I know.
And our Supreme Court Justice, by the way, Clarence Thomas, his wife is white too. So
Well, look at Kofi Bryant.
There's a little bit of self-loathing, I think, going on there. But,
look at Kofi. Look at Magic Johnson. Look at I mean, and I'm not begrudging them. Those are beautiful girls and whatever. But what I'm saying is that even they, when it's time to pick someone that they want to put on their arm and say, "Look what I got," it's a person of a lighter skin. And it really usually is when you see, well, you know what, and we're getting off the subject because I'm taking you there. But when I look at Obama, when I first saw his wife, I was like, get out of here. She's a real black woman.
She is, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
And again, she gets the racism as well. I mean, the thing to remember about the people who actually booed him or cheered him last night when he said he wasn't going to run again, it's not that they looked down on him, which they would like to be able to do.
Yes.
They would like to be able to look down on him. But when they look at him, they're forced to look up to him because his intellect is on display there.
I know.
And that's what they hate.
Oh, I know. Thank you so much, John.
Here, objectively, is a black man who they know in their hearts is smarter than they are.
Oh, John, you hit it. And I like to hear it from him because he's white. I'm telling everybody. No, but that's it. Because you.
And I think this is awesome. And
but remember,
I've been speaking for years, as you know. And so I look at him, I think, wow, what a great speech.
But you remember,
the intellect in play and the sensibility in play is pretty amazing,
Sure, and Donald Trump said, and I thought that. Wait a minute. I want to see his transcript. I thought that wasn't the height of insult. That airhead, who was inherited by affirmative action, everything he got,
I think Martin Short said about Donald Trump. He said he looks like a bouncer in a lesbian bar.
I never heard of that. I got to think that one through. But I just think what you did on Martin Luther King's Day with the Selma bit was just so tasty, so wonderful, so ahead of your time. And so, I mean, just people like you should be heralded and put in a chair, you and Margaret. I mean, because
let me say there, though, that the movie itself, I mean, the theater, that was a big theater, and as you saw, the theater was full. So,
oh my God, how'd you get? I mean, I was.
Of our times,
yes.
That A, that the movie got made, and B, that it's on display right across the country. So I think in and of itself, it was an extremely important film.
Let me tell you something. How did you think that it did not get any kind of real recognitions with the awards ceremonies?
Well, I think what happened there, they said that they didn't get everything into the Academy on time that they were asked to. That there was some sort of foul up behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I thought the actor who played Martin Luther King, I thought all of the acting was. All of the acting was excellent.
John, excellent. I was crying doing that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally crying doing that movie.
You were the only one. There was a guy next to me who, as you know, he was. Anyway, he was. He's got his dreadlocks and everything, and he just got out of jail recently,
yeah.
and And he was crying too, by the way.
Yeah. You know, when I heard them, and you know, I have girlfriends. I have a girlfriend, Harriet Michelle, who took me through and I thought of her being on that walkway. And you know what I liked about that march, and when it was especially, you know what I wanted to tell you too, that on the background of all that you did, John, you and Margaret, that Oprah had a big legendary party. And it was laced the day before you had us at your event, and it was so well done, because you know what you did, John? You made a wonderful move. If there could be 10,000 you and Margarets around, this world would be such a better place.
And I mean, there might just be, but they keep a bit quiet.
They what?
I said there might be 10,000 of us around for all you know, but not everybody's as vocal.
No, but I mean, you know, it's just to think like you did. And I gave Oprah so much credit because she thinks like you. She thinks, you know, these things are important to talk about, to be about, to see and to know right now. And what the essence of it all is, because lots of people have been pouring in money for all of that, for all that it's worth. They've been pouring in money because the young people have to know the importance of voting.
Right, and if you saw the crowd there were all sorts of people who brought their children along. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did see many young people there. I was very happy about that, because a lot of people, Oprah put out a lot of money, and some companies, you know, industry put money out for young people, junior high and high school children to attend. Well, I just want you to know that, let me just say, because we only got a minute left, John and Margaret are thinking about going back to New Zealand. And I told them my son would probably be waiting at the airport when they show up. He'll be standing there waiting. And then as soon as they get settled and take their bags and baggage out, he'll say, my mom is on the way. But I want you to know, you better not go nowhere and not come back. Margaret said there might be a way or a day that you all might return. And we need you here in the United States of America.
I'd love to be here. Let me just close with a poem by a guy in my class, and he's still there. And he said, this was his poem. He said, I am black, I am white, I am brown, and to that rainbow I never frown. I welcome every color in me, all that I am, and all that God made me to be. The conquest adore, the soul and the heart, I embrace every aspect and live every part. Yes, that's me, all entwined. I can never see black or white, for I am colorblind when my eyes prevail, and colorblind whenever I fail.
Oh, only like from John. What's the name of that poem?
That's called Rainbows, and it's in my book, How to Survive a Bullet to the
I just got that book. I'm going to read it, and you're gonna have to come back. You know, no matter where you are, John. And I say this because my next call is here. Don't go.
Okay, Jeannie. I'm going to listen to that very carefully. All right.
Okay. I love you and Margaret so much. Don't go.
Okay. All right. Well, you've almost persuaded me right there.
Okay. All right. Thank you for today.
Let you go. And, of course, we love you.
Okay. I love you, too. Bye-bye. Okay. And isn't that funny? I'm just so crazy about them. I really am. And let me see who's here. Hello?
Hi, this is John Smith calling.
Oh, John Smith, you're going to be a great one to end the day, or to end my interviews, because I've had such a wonderful morning. Absolutely magnificent. And I just want everybody to know that I happened to be in Showman's a couple of nights ago, and I said to myself, let me go by and see my girlfriend Cynthia Holiday. And I went there, and she was fabulous, of course. And while all was going on, of course you can't sing unless you have somebody backing you up. And she had her fabulous pianist, and the drummer was fabulous. But there was this guitar player that was so good that as he started to play, we all went, wow. listen to that. And I want you to listen to him because I don't want you to think, as some people say, well, she's just making that up. She's just what side is good for me to play?
You should play the second tune.
A second tune. All right. And here I go. And the second tune will be, and everybody, watch out. When I play when I get to play the thing. What is the name of this, Smith?
This is called Everything to God in Prayer.
Okay.
Yes.
And by the way, he's a guitarist. I don't know if I mentioned that to everybody, but he's so fabulous. Because in fact, I'll tell you, you play the guitar so well, John, that I didn't know. If somebody was to hear it, I wonder if they even knew it was a guitar. It's you do so much with an instrument.
Thank you.
And I want everybody to know that the reason that I had John Smith on this morning is because he's going to be at the Showman's this weekend. And I said, I got to get it. What'd you say?
We're going to be on there Friday night.
Friday night. Only Friday night?
Only Friday.
Oh, come on, everybody. Friday night. I'm glad you said that because I was saying that all weekend long. Just Friday night. Okay. Well, you'll be back. You're going to hear from this guy here. You are going to hear. Because, it's, I was telling somebody the other day that the way that most people become recognized is just like what happened to you in Showman's the other night. They're just there. They're a part of a whole ensemble, and a very beautiful ensemble, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
But all of a sudden, they stand out because of their techniques, and I call it star quality. I call it star quality.
Wow.
I just I love music, and I love different kinds of music, and I'm not necessarily just into jazz, but I am into instruments. Because I really believe that an instrument is just what it says. You're instructed to do. It goes where you want to take it. And like I love the piano because I know some people can play the piano, and then there's other. That Herbie Hancock was on the other night on 13, and he was saying that the touch of his fingers, and he said he had one finger that was not he had issues with because of something, and he said that he missed the touch of his pinky.
Wow.
And he had to work on it, and he said until he got it back. And you would think that you just put your finger down on the keys with the pinky, that was enough, but he said no, it was the touch of the pinky.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone the other day, and we were talking about someone else playing your instrument.
Yes.
And the very fact that hit of someone's finger may be a little fatter than the other, a little slimmer, a little longer, that will determine the sound of that instrument. So, even if you play the same note, it's going to be different because of, the texture, the different makeup of your finger, and only you can come through that particular sound because that's who you are. And I'm determined this year, 2015, to just play what's on my heart, and I'm determined to do that instead of play what's in my mind. And I'm impressed this morning with you, Gene, with with your expression and your passion for what you're talking about politically, and I'm just totally amazed. And I do thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this morning, and I do give glory to God also for favor, and I really thank you.
Well, you know what? It's this. What we're here. We're community radio, and if we don't reach out to those amongst us, what good are we?
Yes.
I mean, this is what it's for. So next time I might be looking at you. You may be sitting up on ABC, CBS. I say, oh, I know that guy. Or I might walk in anywhere and I say, oh my God, look who's over there. John's over there with the guitar. And and you will be there. It's just and we must, as a part of our community. So many people say, well, who do you have on? And I said, from soup to nuts. And they go, from what? Say that again. I said, from soup to nuts. And I've had some crazy people on here too,
Yeah.
But there's a guy that stands on the corner, and he may teach chess. Like there's a guy on 135th Street. He's so fabulous, and I'm dying to get him on because he's made champions. He's
Wow.
you know where I'm coming from. Young kids pass by. But tell me about yourself, John. Where are you from? What are you about?
Okay, I'm a musician. I went to Five Towns College in Merrick. My first year there, I had to pay. The second year, they were so, I guess, impressed with the way I played. They allowed me to have a free ride, and then I ended up going to Long Island University.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Center. I won a scholarship there. Graduated with my bachelor's degree. I'm a producer also. I'm actually a gospel record producer. Recently, I met up with Nathan Lucas of the Nate Lucas All-Stars maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and he allowed me to play in his band. And getting to play every Sunday night at the Red Rooster on 125th Street.
Oh, go
Lenox.
guy. Yeah.
From 7 to 11, I've been playing there for the last 3 or 4 years. We also playing down at by the Hudson on 12th Avenue on 125th on Saturday morning from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. every Saturday there. So I'm getting to play a lot, and I'm really excited about playing with different artists here, in the Harlem area, the New York area. Cynthia Holiday, which was truly amazing. That was my first time playing with her, and it was a beautiful experience. The band was awesome, and my father, I'm a PK, so that means pastor's kid. My father's a pastor out in Long Island. Yes.
What's your father's name?
My father's name, Reverend Joel Brown, in Hempstead, the Faith Baptist Church. Yes. And
see what he produced. I know he's somewhere with his chest all punched out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
nice.
and I'm married. My wife Lisa. I have 4 children.
Aw.
And all of them are musicians.
Are you kidding?
Yes, my oldest son, he played with Chrisette Michelle for a little while.
Uh-huh.
Bass, played the bass. My youngest son, he's still trying to find himself. He plays the viola, piano, drums, and I'm making him play the guitar. So my wife is, more into let him decide what he want to do, which is awesome. My daughter writes. So it's very musical. We call our family the Levites because we're family full of musicians, and we're really excited about that.
Oh, that's such a nice story.
Yeah,
that's so nice.
Thank you, and we get to sit around and play with each other every now.
You should make a family affair. Call it,
Yes. I actually produced a CD called "It's a Family Affair," and
oh, you did.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yes, and I have to get that copy to you because I really think you would.
I would love that. I would love that. Well, you know what I love is that that you've passed it on, or that you're sharing it, and that it's being received. So many times, some people within the family have a art or a gift, and they try to share it, and the young people don't want to be bothered, not because they just don't realize the value of what they have around them,
Yes, I understand that. They came out of the womb singing and playing, so I'm very grateful for that, and it's amazing because when you see your child, it's almost, it's a reflection of you, truly. I mean, back in the earlier days, there were the blacksmiths, the goldsmiths, and all these families would make sure that they, pass those traits and those gifts down to their children so they could continue the legacy, So I'm really excited about that.
Where do you plan to go? What would be something that you're hanging out in Harlem here. You look like you got that community under your belt. What are some plans you have for your own self?
I would like to, travel abroad, and share my music with people, especially in the area of instrumental. If I could just touch people's hearts and have them leaving, a concert, large concerts, jazz tours, and the different kind of things that they have in the jazz, area, to be able to feel my music and to leave that place inspired, with a sense of hope, a sense of, inspiration. It's really about touching hearts, really getting to, to the soul of people. And I mean, that would be my goal. And I'm not, being rich is fine, but, being able to play my instrument and take care of my family and, leave my children with something, that's my goal.
Well, you know what? I don't know, and, I'm not that familiar, but what other great guitarists are there? Are there any other? Because I don't know.
Actually, last night I went to the Blue Note and I saw Pat Martino. He's still living, and Pat Martino is probably one of the masters of the jazz guitar living. But my favorite guitar player is Wes Montgomery, which he's from Indianapolis, and also George Benson.
Okay.
Which George Benson kind of opened the door for a lot of guitarists because, with his ability to sing, and not only sing but play his instrument so well. So those are 3 of my favorite guitar players, and they have made a tremendous mark on the on jazz music. I just finished reading George Benson's bio book that he wrote, and it's truly amazing, some of the stories that he talked about in his book. But those are three of my favorite guitar players.
Well, you know what? You're now my favorite because I guess it's because I discovered you.
Yes, you.
I got my nerve, right? I discovered you've been all over Harlem, and I discovered him.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Gene, because I haven't stopped telling the story about you know, how the comment that you made that my sound transcends music, and I mean, that's truly amazing because, you know, as a musician, sometimes the musicians could be a little, you know, insecure about, you know, if people are listening or if they're really listening. And I know you have a musical background, you know, some of your history that you were sharing with me. And it just touched my heart, and it also inspires me to continue to continue on this path, to continue to play, you know, from my heart, and to play, you know, what I feel.
Well, you know something that there are, and you know, I used to teach what they call the gifted program, which there would be these little 5 and 6 year olds who would come to me in kindergarten, and I would be there, and you know, I have to say that I guess my listening audiences are tired of me, but Alicia Keys was one of my students. And I remember we tried out for the Wizard of Oz, and fast forward, she made Dorothy, and fast forward, I talked to her mother, and fast forward, her mother said to me, well, you know what, I was the Wiz, you know, I was Dorothy. But what I wanted to say to you is that at 6 years old, she had a star quality. And you have that. You have a star, a star quality means you outstand. You outstand, and it's not because you want to, it's because you have. You know,
Wow.
you don't, when you sit down, you don't mean to, you're not trying to overdo anyone, you just do. And the people in the audience pick you out. You will be chosen for a lot of things. Tell me something, which song on the way out can I play that you would
Play the first one. It's a short song, and it's a theme song of my CD, which is covered, and what that means is that someone is watching over us.
Oh yeah, and let me tell you, the one that I played is "What a Friend We Have in Jesus" was the second one he chose, and now I'm getting ready to do the first one, and this is of course John Smith, and his album is called CD rather is called Covered, and he's going to be at Showman's. And he's going to be there Friday. How many shows are there, John?
There's 3 shows: a 9:30 show, a 11:30 show, and a 1:30 a.m. show. Friday night, January the 23rd. John Smith and his quartet will be at Showman's.
Go see him. He's really so fabulous. And who's going to be playing with you?
Earl Bryce, out of New Jersey. Reginald Woods, which is a saxophone player, and also we're going to have Alva Nelson, which is from Texas. He's an awesome keyboard player, and my sister is going to come and stop by and sit in with us, and even my dad, possibility, he's going to come and sing "A Change Is Going to Come."
Oh my God! I see what I'm doing. I'll see what I'm doing. I might get around there. All right, I'll see it. But listen, John Smith, have a ball. And I'll keep me posted, John, where you're going to be.
I will. I'm going to bring that CD. It's a Family Affair over to you to bless you. So again, Gene, I thank you so much, and I wanted to just say, go Obama.
Oh, you're right into this program. You're right. You know what to say to get me happy. I love me some Obama, and
very much, and thank you.
And now I love me some John Smith and his whole Family Affair. Here you go. Bye-bye. Here goes number 1, and it's called Covered. This is the cover theme song. Hi, this is Jean Parnell, and I've had a beautiful, beautiful morning. Oh, God, Ellen Myers, on the Honorable Charlie Rangel, and then, of course, John Wareham and his fantastic self, as well as John Smith on the guitar. So it's been full. And everybody had all the wonderful things to say. And I enjoyed them all. And all I can say to you is, if God willing, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Whcr 90.3 FM, New York.
If you know the symptoms and get the facts, you'll know the signs of a heart attack. Women, listen to me, and when I'm done, if it sounds
If you have bad credit or no credit, Getting a prepaid debit card may sound like the perfect solution for you. A prepaid debit card like the Lil Wayne Money Card, the Susie Orman Card, or the most popular Rush Card functions like a bank debit card. The user loads money into the account and can make purchases with the card. Like a debit card, you're spending your own money. But you don't have to worry about overdraft fees. If there isn't enough money for a purchase, you can't buy it. Sounds appealing, right? Think again. Rush cards have a $2 activation fee. If you want to pay a bill, there's a fee. If you want to make a purchase, there's a $1 fee. Just to have the card, it costs $9.95 a month. It costs another 50 cents to get your balance, and it costs $1.95 if you don't use the Rush card for 90 days. It costs money to use your money. It costs money to save your money. Let's keep some more of your cash in your pockets and get a regular debit card. While some debit cards may have a monthly fee, the fee is usually lower than the Rush card's monthly costs. If you're a student, some banks have a debit card just for you with no monthly fees. With a regular debit card, you won't be charged to pay a bill, make a purchase, or check your balance at the bank. You can take out money from your bank's ATM free of charge. It's your money, and you don't have to pay to have it or use it. In fact, some banks allow you to move